It takes 1 minute of your time. So if you think you don't have 1 minute for your partner, you're just flat out wrong, right? We all have 1 minute. And what it is you just slow down enough. One partner receives, the other partner is the giver. And what am I giving? I'm giving my full attention.
Those who live a high-performance life have figured out how to consistently bring their best, their A game, to the most important areas of life. On the A Game Advantage podcast, you'll get to peek inside the mind of the world's highest-performing individuals so you can learn and model the mindsets and systems that allow them to bring their A game every day. With your host, Elliot Rowe.
Welcome to another episode of the A Game Advantage. I'm your host, Elliot Rowe. This episode is brought to you by Primed Mind. This is my mindset app designed to prime your mind to perform at its best when it matters the most. To download and try it out for free, just visit agameadvantage.com/primed. Now, I'm really excited about our guest this week. I'm bringing on Marla Mattenson. She's a relationship and intimacy expert who's worked with over 12,000 couples during her 23-year career. She's worked with Academy Award-winning actors, producers, directors, professional athletes, and millionaire entrepreneurs. And she's brought in to help them bring the passion back to their relationship, fix their relationship, and understand what it means to be a truly successful couple. And she's coming on and she's going to give us tips as to how to make relationships work better and just small things that you can do to improve that side of your life. So let's just give her a call. So Marla, excellent to have you on. The reason I want to have you on is because we talk a lot about living a high performance lifestyle and reaching a A game. And one of the things I've noticed with clients is they're almost always talking about their relationships, and sometimes they've felt they had to give up on their relationships to succeed, or it's taken sort of a back step. But obviously maintaining a strong relationship is something that's key to actually being a top world performer. Just wanted to have you on to talk about this topic because not really anyone better I can be speaking to than you on this. So what are your thoughts? What do you think regarding relationships, high performers? What does it mean to try and be someone at that level who's trying to have a healthy relationship?
Well, first of all, I'm really excited to be here with you today and to share this with your listeners because there's some misinformation out there as if we have to sacrifice ourselves just to have a successful business. Really, the real truth is that when you lead with the union, meaning the union between you and your partner, that's the primary source of love, of happiness, of joy, of growth. Then you go out into the world and you master and just slam the business world. So the top performers who are in amazing relationships are also happy. That's the piece that gets missed a lot, right? These amazing entrepreneurs out there, and I include me and my partner in that, we're happy. And part of the reason we're happy is because we know how to shorten the duration of a conflict. We know how to lessen the intensity of a conflict so that we end up using every single conflict as a way to get closer and deeper within ourselves, meaning I use all conflict as a way to connect with what's really going on for me. How can I grow from this? And when I practice taking 100% responsibility for my part, it's so much easier for my partner to have compassion for me in a conflict, even in the middle of a conflict. And so when you do that, you start to realize, oh, we are on the same side through everything, even through conflict. And when you do that, your home life becomes happy. It becomes a place where you can rest and surrender, a place that you can play and enjoy and experience more and more passion and intimacy. And when you do that, you have more energy, more focus, more drive, more ambition for actually getting your message out into the world.
And is that something that's sometimes hard for you to communicate to couples when, you might get someone who's running more of the business side of the relationship saying, I just don't have time. I don't have time to put in that effort. I mean, is that sort of a conflict that you see coming up?
It is a very, very common theme. I also fall into that category. Every once in a while, I'm like, babe, I don't have time. I don't have time. And he always reminds me, we always have time. We have one technique I'll just share real quick here with you and the listeners called exquisite attention. And it takes 1 minute of your time. So if you think you don't have 1 minute for your partner, you're just flat out wrong, right? We all have 1 minute. And what it is you just slow down enough. One partner receives, the other partner is the giver. And what am I giving? I'm giving my full attention. So Julian, my partner, would just stand there and receive whatever I have to give. And I internally am saying, I love this man. This man is a sexy man. This is a powerful man. I am digging you. I dig your body. I love the way you look. I love the way you smell. I love everything about you. And I'm walking around and I'm just giving him that exquisite attention for literally 1 minute. And we set a timer because you could just go, too long on that. You want to keep it to 1 minute. And then you hug, you say thank you, and you switch. So you can either just do it with one partner where one partner really needs to receive, or you can do it in a 2-minute round where one partner receives and then you swap. And that, if you do that morning and evening, 1 minute in the morning, 1 minute in the evening, or if you're both going to do it 2 minutes in the morning, 2 minutes in the evening, it will completely change your relationship. You will learn how to slow down with your partner to give them a proper attention instead of, hey, can you bring me those, that robe, or can you grab me that thing? And you're yelling across the house, and it's not exquisite attention. We want to practice looking in our partner's eyes when we're requesting things of them.
And how does that feel to clients as they start to do that? What sort of things do they mention? What changes do they notice?
Ooh, I love that question. So in the beginning, oftentimes it feels awkward. I'll just be honest. In the beginning, it's like, oh my God, what are we doing?
How do you feel? Awkward. Okay.
Awkward. It's very, very awkward. Some people really fall genuinely into it really easily. But for most couples, because they haven't been giving each other that kind of exquisite attention, it feels a little awkward, sometimes a little forced in the beginning. But if it does, what we do is we tell them, hey, let's have you share your origin story together. And what is that? That's how you met, how you became a partnership together, right? And when you go back and you revisit, oh yeah, remember we met and then it was so sexy and it was so fun. And you remember that and your emotions come to the forefront where you remember, oh my gosh, I love this person. I really do love this person. So it makes it easier to then have those genuine feelings more organically, more naturally to then share with your partner. But in the beginning, sometimes it's a little bit awkward. But if you keep working at it and you keep doing it, it actually turns into this really beautiful practice where you know how to do it on the fly at a party across the room. You can literally give your partner exquisite attention across the room, and you know that they know how to receive it. Because as entrepreneurs, receiving is also very challenging for us. We love to give, and we're not as amazing at receiving. So it's a great technique for that too.
And is it something sort of if one partner is a lot more stressed than the other, this is the way that you'd be recommending to try and help your partner out? Or is it just generally a sort of a bonding tool?
It's both. It's a bonding tool, but for entrepreneurs, it's actually essential because there's always one partner who's a little more stressed than the other at any given time. And it can rotate, like my partner and I, we're in the business, but I'm more the face of the business. And so, I have maybe more stress than he does at times. So he will give me this kind of exquisite attention and it just satiates at a very core level. It really calms the whole nervous system down. So the one partner who's more stressed needs to be receiving more. And that's part of our methodology also is in the category of reflection. That's also about, it's reflecting on, well, what am I doing? What's working? What's not working? How can I improve? And how can I refuel? How can I get more for myself so that I have more to give, right? If you're giving from a place of obligation, that's called sacrifice. But if you're giving from a genuine, organic place of feeling fulfilled and you're so in surplus that you're overflowing and you want to give, that's called generosity.
And when they then take this to their business, they're an entrepreneur or whatever else they're doing, do you think that's something that then spreads into the other parts of their life just because that stress level has gone and the relationship's good and they're coming into work happy?
Yes. And that, and I know you work with this as well, is when you have your emotions are calm and you feel satiated in your private life. You go out into the world with kind of, we call it sparkly eyes. You bring your sparkly eyed self, you bring the best version of yourself. You don't really need anything from anybody because you're satiated at home. So you go out into the world and you can genuinely give. And in business, generosity in your business is essential. If you are out in there in business and you're just taking, trying to get clients and, trying to make sales, people can feel that.
It's not going to last very long, is it?
It doesn't. It really doesn't. We're too savvy these days. Consumers are so savvy. We know a business that has a generous model versus a business that has, a selfish model where it's just about the money. We think about like Shark Tank, Mr. Wonderful is the guy who's all about the money. And then you've got these other people on the panel, Robert and whatnot, who are really there for the heart and business and money making, right? But these days we want to have a sustainable business where it feels good to be in business and it feels good to do business with clients.
Yeah, I mean, it does make such a difference if you do feel the person there is some give and take in that business relationship. And obviously if you're feeling happier, it's much easier to offer that type of service. Now, one of the things that, again, I think comes up a lot with very successful people, and if you think about relationships, is not really, I think a lot of people don't really think about the emotional and financial cost of perhaps breaking up the relationship or a divorce, and the investment of time and effort and potentially even money that it's worthwhile putting into the relationship to try and make things work. It's something I've noticed over the years where, someone will say, I'm worried about my marriage, but, I just have to work because, I've got this great deal and I might be able to make some more money. And I'll say to them, how much is a divorce going to cost you compared to this deal?
Exactly.
And, how do you sort of frame that with your clients? Is that something that you try and help them to understand just how important it is to try and make things work?
Yes, there's so many parts to that puzzle right there. But just briefly, I want to say that when you're trying to make it work in business and you're maybe on the precipice of a divorce, or your relationship is not doing amazing and it could end in divorce, it's a really important time to take stock in a new way. Okay, business is never going to stop. You're always going to be busy on some level if you're an entrepreneur, unless you're delegating everything and you've got it all handled like Richard Branson, right? So until you're there, we have to use, and most entrepreneurs know this, the growth mindset, right? So we want to have an abundant mindset that this can happen. We can do this. And it works not only in business, it works in relationship. And what does that mean? That means the time that you're using in your day could be used for personal growth and reflection, or it could be used stressing out and worrying and getting freaked out about all the things that you have to do. And so when you start to use your union, meaning the we in the relationship, when you start to use your union as the tool for personal growth, for your own personal growth, that's when everything starts to shift. So what happens is, when you're in any kind of a discomfort or a conflict with your partner or in your business or out with friends or family or in your life, you start to use every single scenario that you have that's unpleasant, and you use it as a way to reflect on, how am I showing up here? How am I showing up in a way that's contributing to the negativity here? And how can I choose instead to show up in a way where I bring my best self, where I bring my vulnerability, and I don't have to be the know-it-all. I don't have to be the one who's in charge all the time. I'm learning how to share responsibility. And I do that specifically in relationship, where we both make the agreement, hey, let's use our relationship for our own personal growth, which means I practice taking 100% responsibility for everything in my visual and energetic field. So that means even if Julian, my partner, has a problem that I seemingly had nothing to do with, I will take 100% responsibility for witnessing it. And how do I do that? I send love and compassion and good vibes to him while he's struggling, rather than trying to tell him what to do, because that's my default, which is I'm a problem solver, which, by the way, I'm really good at, but it's not great for a relationship, right? You don't want to tell your partner what to do unless they're asking directly. And so, and even if they're asking directly, still ask them a question. What do you think? How do you feel? What do you think you should do next? Right? And support. So I can send love and compassion to him because I'm practicing taking responsibility. And he can send compassion to me because he's practicing taking responsibility. So what happens is, instead of being on the hamster wheel of trying to perfect your business and leaving your relationship in the dust, you instead choose to spend some amount of time every single day nourishing your relationship and spending the time necessary. It can be 5 minutes. And those 5 minutes, it's the same with children. With our children, if you don't spend the 5 minutes with the kid when they want that attention, it's a huge issue. You don't have to spend your 24 hours paying attention to your children, but you do need to spend the 3 to 5 minutes where they really need you. And you put everything else on hold for just a few minutes to give that exquisite attention to your children. It works in every scenario.
Yeah, and that's really interesting. As a thought game, thinking about how much time you actually spend giving that level of attention in a relationship. So rather than just being in the room or just chatting, actually saying, this is a 5 minutes of actually just us time of an intense experience like that. It probably is rarer than it should be.
It really is.
You know?
We can become two ships passing in the night, especially if you're not in the same business together. And even when you are, my partner and I, we run our company together. And so we are in the same business. And yet we can also fall into, hey, we're spending too much time on the business and not enough personal time together. So we will literally close all the books, close the computers, close all the screens and go for a walk. We live at the beach in Venice. We'll go for a walk on the beach. We'll go take one of the electric scooters, go down the boardwalk, and just get out of the house and enjoy each other. Because you have to remind yourself, why are you with this person? Right? And if you can't answer something in a positive way of why you're with that person, you really both need to do some excavating in, why were we together? And what do we still want to cultivate? And then next steps is, how can we actually go beyond anything we think is possible in relationship? What if we actually have a magnificent relationship and a phenomenal business, right? Where we're on each other's side, we're helping each other out, and we're using all of our material conflicts and challenges as a way to take personal responsibility to move through this world living from a place of vision rather than running away from all the things we don't want.
And I find that really interesting, the idea of having a vision as a couple together and growing as a couple and having those sort of set relationship goals where, we talk to people about goal setting and things, and often it's, what are you looking to visualize in your future? And they'll have a very specific idea of what car they want or what house they want.
Right.
And then they'll say, and I want to be happy in my marriage. But that would be like an afterthought. And yeah, right. It's something that I don't think everyone really, it can be sort of left aside, but it's so clearly a massive part of individual happiness.
Oh, it's huge. And, here's the thing. This is for every single person, whether you're single, whether you're in a relationship, every single human should have, and I hate to should on people, okay, but I'm just going to do it for just this one time. They should have a relationship vision. And here are the key components. You want to ask yourself, how do I want to show up during a conflict? How do I want to show up when times are good? Like, I'll share with you, sometimes I forget to praise and give acknowledgement to Julian when he does amazing things in the business, because I'm one of those people who it's like, okay, that was awesome. Next, like what's next? What's next? That's the quintessential entrepreneur, right? And yet when I don't pause to say, I really appreciate how you did that, whether he was my partner or an employee or, an independent contractor for the business, we have to pause and give appreciation and praise, right? So having the vision in relationship, okay, how do I want to show up during conflict? How do I want to show up when things are going well? What qualities do I want to cultivate in myself? Not what does the house look like or what does the car look like? That's fun stuff. That's all great. We love that. Add that in. But the core qualities of how do you want to show up? And then you go to, how do you want to be treated? How do you want to be treated by your partner in conflict? How do you want to be treated by your partner when times are going amazing? And those visions, you do those separately. And then you get together and share those visions so that you can actually give your partner a roadmap for how you want to be treated when, things are hitting the fan, and how you want to be treated when things are going well, so that they never have to guess. Then you have to update that vision every year, because as you grow and change, your vision will grow and change. You might not need the kid gloves that you needed 3 years ago when it was hard for you to be in conflict. Now you've learned how to be in conflict with your partner and use it as a way to go, ooh, opportunity. We've got an opportunity to connect and bond and have a great time through this crazy conflict we're in, and you turn it into something playful. Because what's the point, man, if you can't have fun in this lifetime with your partner, the person you chose to walk through everything together with? What's the point? We want to be playful and have fun, even with conflict.
Completely. And I mean, you've helped more than 12,000 couples, which is a lot. A lot of couples. Is there anything new that comes up now? Or is it something where it's just, you've just seen the same, repetition of the same insecurities, the same issues, like time and time again. And you say, look, just do this. Like, I know it works. just do this.
Well, there are some core components to the work, right? We have, we're actually creating a certification program for other relationship experts, therapists, and coaches to go through our methodology and get certified. And so as we are developing that program, we are seeing we have core competencies. There are certain things that are true for every single couple, no matter what. And then there are the very unique qualities with entrepreneur couples who you have to have other pieces in place in your relationship in order to be a high-performing entrepreneur. And then beyond that, the things have changed as we learn more and more. My background is in mathematics and neuroscience, very logical, right, to emotional material. So as we learn more and more about the brain and how energy works and how metaphysics work and quantum physics, we are learning, all of this is shifting and growing and changing. So we are always at the cutting edge, at the forefront of how can we live the most magnificent lives possible in service to as many people as possible while living an amazing life together. And so as we are constantly going beyond what we think is possible, we share that information with our coaches, with our clients, and with anybody who will listen, because we want to have more and more couples who have fantastic lives together out on the planet.
Yeah, I mean, it's just such fun stuff to hear. And one of the questions I always wondered with these sorts of situations, is there a sort of a more of a dominance of the men trying to talk their wives into working on the relationships, or the wives trying to talk their husbands, or is it something that it's just random?
That's a great question. In our practice, I have to say, women tend to find us more online, and in person, men tend to be more attracted to saying, hey, we want to do this work. So it's really interesting. And I'm not sure exactly why that is, but I know that in person, I mean, you've met me in person, I come across very competent, very confident, and I have that very scientific background. So it's easier for a man to rest and surrender to me and Julian, my partner, because they feel that we can hold massive space for them, even if they're a super alpha man with a massive business with, hundreds and hundreds of employees, that they know
they're still going to respect you, Marla.
Yes.
I've met you.
You know it.
So, and then from when those meetings start, how are you then starting this process?
So we take couples through a process. So they have to qualify to work with us. There's a small application fee, and then we go through a session together to see how coachable they are, how much can they surrender to the process and to us to really do the work. Because some people think they want to do the work, but they don't actually want to do the work. They love the idea of the work being done, but actually spending the time to do the work on a daily basis with their partner, which doesn't take more time. It's a shift in how you're spending your time. So we create highly efficient, effective couples in both their relationship and in their business. And so if they're willing to shift around their perspective on time, on managing their emotions, their energy, in being vulnerable and sharing what's really going on inside, and practicing what we call exquisite honesty, that's part of our process. And which doesn't mean you share everything with your partner. It means you're very, very selective and mindful about what you share, and you share it in a way to be more vulnerable and connect on a deeper level because of the content of what you're sharing, which is, that is alone is a process that everybody should learn how to do, is share with your partner honestly in service of growth with your partners.
And I mean, it must be quite a warning flag if, well, you are speaking to someone and you're saying, look, we really need you to be investing 5-10 minutes a day in your relationship. And they say, I'm not sure. I mean, that,
yes.
I would assume that's a pretty big red flag.
It's a big red flag. We wouldn't work with couples like that. However, sometimes couples just get into fear around, I'm already doing so much. I don't know. How can I fit anything more in? And so if they're open to transforming their idea of what time is and how you spend it, then we can work with that. So even if they're nervous about 5 minutes, 10 minutes, that's normal for any entrepreneur. Hey, I don't want to give up any more of my time. So if they're willing to be coached and practice the work, then they find they have massive support from us, and all of our couples get results. There's no couple that comes in to work with us that doesn't get results.
And I guess that's a bit like with meditation. You're investing a short amount of time because of the impact that has on the rest of your day. So therefore, if you're maximizing the rest of your day because of it, it's worth investing the time in meditation. And from the relationship side, if you're saving your relationship, if you're happier, if you're more efficient at work, if you're not risking, losing half of your assets and your partner in a divorce, again, it becomes a pretty rational choice, doesn't it?
It really does. And if we really think it through, the amount of time, energy, attention, and focus that we spend on worrying about our relationship, right? Those who are, closer to maybe we shouldn't do this anymore, right? The amount of time that we spend doing that, we are using part of our energy to always keep that at bay so it doesn't rise up and cause a problem. So imagine if you could remove the lid on holding that down and deal with those pieces in there with support. Then you could take all of that time, attention, focus, and energy that you've been spending on trying to keep a lid on that, and you can use it in your business. You can use it for self-care. You can use it to connect with your children. And creating a legacy for yourselves, for your business. And so that's what we teach. It's about shifting your perspective of avoiding dealing with and talking about things, and actively going in saying, I want to do this with you. I want to look at this, even if it's ugly, because you know what? We are going to get through it no matter what. And that's the kind of perseverance that you need, not only in relationship, but you need it in business. And this is why the work is so fascinating, is that however you're showing up in your relationship is being mirrored somewhere in your business if you're an entrepreneur. Not so much if you're an employee of a company. If you're connected to the bottom line, so if you're a salesperson and an employee, then yes, that does show up in your business. If you're connected to the bottom line, how you're showing up in relationship is going to mirror itself in business, and vice versa.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely see how those traits, because everything echoes. You see if someone's suffering from a confidence issue in their relationship, it's not going to be surprising if they have that same confidence issue in the other parts of their life, because you're just feeling unstable the whole time.
Exactly.
And when you've seen these changes, how long does it take for once they've started doing these exercises for them to start noticing these changes in their life and in their relationship?
So when couples sign on with us, they literally will feel a significant change within a week of working with us, within 1 week. And it's pretty phenomenal, because when they go all in and they sign a contract with us and they say, yes, we're going to do the work after our initial session, which is a 4-hour immersion, and don't get scared by that, but that's, it's like you think, what are we going to use all that time for? But we really use every minute of that time. That after that 4-hour session, that first week, everything is different. Everything has changed. They're on the same page. And this works, we work with a lot of empire builders and risk takers and people who really know themselves very well, and they have good relationships. They love their partner deeply. They just also know that if they don't take care of these little tiny pieces, little resentments that build, a little piece here, a little piece there, they know too much. They know that if they don't take care of it now, it will become a big problem later. And so what we do is we also work with entrepreneurs who have phenomenal businesses, amazing relationships, and they want to learn how to live a growth-based life together. And so we teach couples how to do that over the course of 9 months.
Wow. And it's just so incredible to hear how quickly that can happen. It's one of the things I was wondering there is, does it sort of become a shared challenge for them? So a bit like, we have a project together now and the project is us.
Exactly. Yes. And, it reminds me of, I did a mud run once, which was amazing. And I did it with 3 other people and we helped each other. Sometimes you do a mud run, where you're going through all these obstacle courses and there's mud everywhere and you're doing it alone, right? But we did as a team. And so we all helped each other. Somebody pushed my tush up this,
over
obstacle.
a wall.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. Here, go up there, and I helped somebody get off of the rope thing. And, and so when you're doing it together, it makes a huge difference. And we love to, use the imagination to say, okay, you're going to be going through a massive obstacle course together over the next 9 months. You are doing it hand in hand. And at the end, you're going to turn around. There'll be some mud. You'll have to take a shower. Okay. But you're going to turn around. You go, oh my gosh, we did that together. We did that together. It builds a sense of an unbreakable union it's hard to describe. It's only something you can experience. And even couples who have a solid union, going through this process gives them a sense of, we really can do anything together. And it brings a new sense of creativity to the business too. That's one of the byproducts that is phenomenal, because now you have an open line of communication with your partner that you maybe didn't before. And so new ideas emerge and it's just amazing. Obviously, I could talk about this all day and night.
Do you think the vulnerability and the difficulty of the subjects they're going to have to cover really amplifies that connection there?
Oh, it really does. It really does. And as you know, anytime you work through anything significant and vulnerable with another person, it bonds you. It really does. And here's the thing is we don't have to wait for a trauma to bond with our partner, because sometimes, think about it, even, in California, we have earthquakes, right? What happens in an earthquake? Everybody suddenly goes outside and meets their
You
neighbor.
talk to your neighbor. Yeah.
Before that, I don't know you, you don't know me, right? That's not really true, but right, that's kind of
I know where you're coming from.
Yeah. And so it's the same kind of thing, right? You really get a sense of, oh, I have an open line of communication now, and I want to keep it that way.
And it's just absolutely awesome stuff. And I hope everyone listening to this has had really taken some of this on board, because it doesn't sound like the starting point is too difficult. It's just really a decision to say, I'm going to invest a few minutes a day, but truly invest those minutes in making my relationship better.
Yes. And guidance. Here's the piece is that you can't be the guide in your relationship. Okay. This is one of the pieces that I found out. I was married before I was with Julian, and we needed a guide like me, but we couldn't find a guide like me. And so the marriage ended because I couldn't be the one to lead us through. Because what that does is it reinforces that same old pattern. I'm the leader, I'm the teacher, I'm the one who knows.
Yeah, I'll show you. And that's the problem, isn't it? Yeah.
And that was the problem with us, right? And so to have a sense of, we need to be on the same side together to receive guidance from an expert, that is the way to go. You want to both together rest and surrender, whether you work with us or whether you work with somebody else.
Rather than one person saying, I've read a book, you're following what I say. That's never going to have the... Yeah, it's so interesting. It's quite funny, actually, because I'll talk to a mindset coach every 2 weeks. And, people say, why do you need a mindset coach or a mindset coach? I say, because I can't work on myself.
Exactly.
I want to keep growing. I want to keep improving. And that means that I'm going to be seeking out the same sort of services I provide, because it makes sense. And it makes complete sense what you're describing in terms of, if one person's taking the lead, that's not going to be a very good way of managing your relationship.
Right. And what we help couples see are the patterns that are coming from each of them, creating either a healthy outcome or an unhealthy outcome. So we help them without going into the past and excavating. We use math and neuroscience to help them understand how they are bringing themselves to the relationship and how to choose something different, right? You want a different outcome, choose a different step, make a different choice, take a different action. And so that's the foundation of the work also, which is, when you want something new to happen and you want to do it together, you make choices together. Okay, this is our habitual pattern. When I say this, typically you will say that, and that leads us to an unhappy outcome. Instead, when I say this on accident, because I'm going to work on not saying it, right? Instead, if you help me by saying, hey, babe, your tone of voice, could you change it a little to be a little more kind? That will help me recognize, oh, right, I'm in that nasty tone of voice again. I should shift that, right? Because I love this person and I don't want to be nasty. But sometimes it's an old voice that comes out, especially if I'm stressed or under pressure. So he helps me come out of this habitual pattern just as much as I help him. And that is what we also teach. So again, you're working together, you're on the same side. And then after couples work with us for a period of time, then they can do this work together where they guide each other. And that's how we teach that material as well. So they're not dependent on us, after 9 months.
But they've learned the process, and it's not been one person trying to say, you're doing everything wrong, just change these things and our relationship will be great, which can certainly be an issue. Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing tons and tons of information. No one has any excuses not to get started now on having the better relationship. And where can they find you?
People can reach out to me on my website, marlamattenson.com. There's actually a great opt-in if you want it. It's the relationship redo. It's how to redo your relationship in the moment so you can rewire your brain. It's amazing. And also, of course, on Facebook or on LinkedIn, I've always accept any kind of message. Anybody who is interested in learning a little bit more about this or wealth building, entrepreneurship, anything about relationship.
Well, everyone go check it out. What I'll do is I'll also add all of the links to the podcast page so that they'll all be there. If you want to click through a link, there'll be different ways of reaching Marla. You'll have no excuses. So Marla, once again, thanks for coming on. Really appreciate it. And good luck in all that you're doing.
Thank you so much, Elliot. It's been a pleasure to be here with you.
So much value in that talk with Marla there. I hope everyone got lots of tips they can use in their relationships. And even if you're single, just looking at future relationships and what you want to be like and how you want your partner to treat you. I think that's a really interesting idea to actually be working on that before you're even in a relationship. So great stuff. And we shall talk to you soon.